So I wanted to do a video on my dad-son project. We built this together, and it was real fun. So the construction of this, it started off with a piece of plywood and a 4x4 on the back of it, and I cut the plywood, I think it was 22-inch square. And the reason we did that is we'd already mapped out what pedals we wanted to use, and we had a good idea of that it was going to be 3 rows with one left over at the top and a couple power supplies. And I had a piece of plexiglass also and a piece of carpet. So I took the plywood and we laid down the carpet on top of the plywood, and then we cut the plexiglass and mounted that down onto it. And we'd already drilled holes to match in the plexiglass and the plywood so that we could route all of our signal cables through. So we put these right in the middle, 3 positions on each row, so that we could run the signal cables underneath the bottom nice and clean. And then as far as connecting the pedals together, most spots we used a loop, and then some spots where we had small pedals we used the gold bus. So my battery's flashing, but we're going to try to get through this. So when you decide the size of your board, you probably want to go through all the different types of pedals that you want or may want, and then map it all out on a piece of paper first, which is what we did. And some of the types that we skipped because he's got a Boss all-in-one electronic pedal unit also. And that's got things in it like a looper and some octave shifts and some harmony shifts. And a lot of the pedals that I found out there that were octave pedals and harmony shifts, they were either crappy sounding if they were cheap ones, or they were way expensive. Most of the pedals on this board were very cheap, and they still get the job done. I don't think you need to spend a gob of money to create a cool pedal rig here. We started with our power supplies, and they're basically the same. So these two are basically the same. They both have several 100 milliamp spots. I think there's 7. And then they had one 500 milliamp spot. And we only had one pedal that was above 500 milliamp. The rest all were below 100 milliamp by a lot for the most part. He's playing through a little bitty Fender practice amp, and this board really makes his sounds much better than just using a practice amp. So if you're up and coming guitar player and you're getting bored of playing this clean and dirty channel that's on the amplifiers, you need this kind of rig to mix your sounds up. So the first thing we wanted was a nice compressor, and we went with a Kaleen CP47, and that keeps your signal nice and leveled out. And he uses that a lot with other combination pedals, right? So go ahead and put on the compressor and show how much more power there is. See how the chords ring out for days? That's what a compressor does. They'll fade out real fast without that. So that's the compressor. Second up, we had an acoustic simulator by Tom's Line. AC stage. So it's not exactly like an acoustic guitar, but it's pretty dang close without you having to switch over to your acoustic. And if you have a song that's got both acoustic and electric, you could just click that on, you're good to go. Third up, he's got a Donner auto wah. And then after that is the, we got it for Univibe and Vibe combo pedal. It's a Sonic Cake 5th Dimension, but it does so many things. It's got a multiple position setting on it that you can do all kinds of things with, but for our purposes it's going to be mostly a Vibe Univibe. Real cool pedal. If you want a lot of different effects, you could almost get away with just that one with your dirty and your other main effects. So after that, we've got the distortions and the overdrives. The first one is the Ibanez, and this is a classic pedal. This is a tube screamer, and there's a lot of famous guys that use this Ibanez tube screamer. After that, he wanted the Dark Matter by TC Electronic. And then after that one, he got an MXR Prime Distortion. Okay, this pedal is a Bayang FZ7 fuzz pedal. Now I'll tell you about this pedal. When it came out of the box, the input jacks didn't want to plug in. They were a little bit misaligned. That's the only issue I had with any of these cheaper pedals. But it definitely does its job. It has a little bit of noise to it, but we really don't care because that's what we're looking for in a fuzz pedal. Okay, so after that we've got our chorus, and it's a Moore, however you say that, Ensemble King. Then after that we've got a Rowan Trelocopter. Yeah, I turned it up more, huh?
What's it doing?
You don't have it turned up enough or something. Is it not working?
I don't know, it's weird.
Uh-oh. We'll try the left knob. What is the left knob?
Depth, and it's almost all the way up.
Huh.
Output?
Well, you clearly have a signal. Now it's going. That's odd. Okay.
Sound like it's doing
It's not. It's something wrong with this Rowan Trelocopter. You know, some of these pedals had some questionable reviews, such as they stopped working very quickly, and I'm starting to wonder if this is one of them. We've only had this board finished for what, 3 weeks, and you've only used them all, what, a few times each. So if the Rowan's dead, it's a piece of junk.
Yes, it's dead.
Well, okay. Let's keep going, I guess. Then we got a Kaleen Flanger on the right. We'll put some dirt on it. You can hear the flange effect more.
Not that one.
Yeah, right. That one's pretty high pitch. Okay, now we got a phaser next to it, which is the Donner Pearl. And now we've got a Kaleen Blue Ocean analog delay. So he's got an analog and a digital. This is the analog. Now he's going to switch over to the Joyo digital delay. Last on the list up at the top there, we've got a Reverb, which is an Azor, and it's the little pink one up there. Purplish pink. Let's try the Trellicopter one more time, and I might be sending this sucker back if it doesn't work. It definitely worked before. There's doing some. Yeah, now it is. I wonder if it has to warm up because it's analog or something. It's definitely working now. I think it has to warm up, maybe. Well, the jury is out on this Rowan Trellicopter Tremolo. Sounds great if it stays working, right? Let me give you a front view of the board. Let me squeeze in here. I'm going to give you a closer up overview of this thing. So, power supplies, reverb. There's the delays, which is analog and digital, and they have a different sound, so you may want to look into, you know, what they sound like and figure out what you like. There's also tape delays, which are a little bit different. Then we got the phaser and the flanger together, and the tremolo and the chorus pedal together, and then we've got our bank of fuzz and then distortions that goes down to the bottom left. And then we've got the vibe slash multi-function pedal. And what's the purple one? I forgot.
Wah.
The wah. the acoustic simulator, and the compressor. So all told, there's 5, 10, there's 15 pedals on this 24, I think it's a 22-inch square board. We considered getting a talk box, but they're, again, quite expensive, and they basically did the same thing as the old school talk box and cost about the same. So if you're going to hook up a talk box, it's questionable whether you should use a pedal that kind of emulates a talk box, or if you want the original real deal. Now, what's the keyboard version of that? The vocoder. The vocoder does the keyboard effects, right?
Vocoder.
Vocoder? I'm saying it wrong. Vocoders are pretty cool, but we tried to stay with basic meat and potatoes effects from, you know, all the way from the 50s until now. I feel like the choruses and the delays and the reverb are more important than some of these other more gimmicky kind of effects. That told, you can make a box like a board like this and put whatever you want on it, but this would cover almost any kind of rock sound. And anyway, that was our dad's son project, and we're gonna have to edit this down, but we're pretty happy with it.